can be manipulated by organizations, convincing them that the child will grow better separated from their parents. In some of these cases, the child is a victim of neglectful care, feeling abandoned and growing without ever feeling cared for. The exploitation is ways of making money off of children. So economic exploitation includes using the child to work for the benefit of others. It could be within the family, it could be within the community, it could be for particular businesses who use child labor or using child as caretakers for other children or sexual exploitation. What are different signs to identify child abuse? Yes. A child caretaker is a child who's taking care of another child, a minor, and who's working, and this is a form of exploitation. You can think of children who are alone all day with no adult supervision around. This can mean being locked in a room or being sick and alone. This could mean a young girl married or a child out of school. When there's a child with chronic disease and there's no treatment, or a child who's witnessing violence or a victim of violence. Sometimes we also take notice of children who are not with their biological parents and are being transported across countries, and there's risk of child trafficking in those circumstances. So different psychological and physical warning signs of child abuse is a very broad spectrum. It could include things like recognizing injuries, bruises, scratches, burn marks that seem to be kind of unexplained or not accounted for. It could also mean child regression in development, such as bedwetting or having night terrors, or developing different fears and phobias, having a really high sense of mistrust and withdrawal from other people. It could be things like sexual behavior or hyperaggression, or it could be other things like depression, abnormal sleeping patterns, trouble regulating feelings and emotions. It's a notice of a really low self-esteem in children, and maybe that includes self-harm behaviors. Or it could also mean things like having STD or early pregnancy. So, at Van Dyck Foundation, we have a child protection system. A lot of it includes prevention, which means training and providing information about child rights, child safety, what to do if you identify signs of abuse, etc. So Van Dyck has child protection officers whose job is to ensure child protection policies happening within Van Dyck Foundation and in any of our work sites. Child protection officers, or CPOs, are specifically trained to support any social workers in protecting a child exposed to forms of abuse. They are in direct contact with legal authorities and other services for protection. You should have the CPO's phone number on your phone, so whenever you identify any form of violence or a situation you're not sure about, you can call them immediately. If you're not able to reach a CPO for any reason, the next person you can reach out to is any management staff of Van Dyck Foundation. If you're able to unreach either a CPO or management, you can also call OSCC, which is the One Stop Crisis Center, at 1300, or the police at 191. Explain more in detail our protection protocol. Everyone has a role in protecting children. This includes observing any signs of child abuse and reporting it immediately, verbally, to a child protection officer. So that's the first step. Whenever you identify any signs or potential risk factors of child abuse, you should immediately call or report in person to a CPO. This means anytime, including weekends. When you call a CPO, they are able to help you assess further what things you can ask and what things you can do at the moment. And they'll also help to determine with you whether or not you should write a red file. You can call a CPO anytime, including nights and weekends. CPOs, when you call them, will help you to assess a situation, including maybe figuring out what questions to ask and what to immediately do. If you're ever unsure of what to do in a risky situation, call them immediately. If you hadn't had a chance yet, make sure you bring the child to a safe place where they can share with you what happened. After they share with you freely, you can ask a few follow-up questions if their answers are a little vague. Make sure that you reassure the child that they did nothing wrong and that we are there to protect them. Before you leave the child, make sure that they return to a safe environment. If they're in a place where there's an abuser who is going to hurt them, you must immediately protect them from the abuser. Do not take children outside of the community without proper authorization, as this would qualify as kidnapping. One thing you can do to make sure that the child is in a safe environment is to identify a safe place within their community that they can go to with an adult who is able to be safe with them. This could be a neighbor, this could be a public space where there's many people around. After you identify a situation of child abuse and gather appropriate information and make sure the child is safe, you need to make a red file official report, and this should be done within 24 hours and sent to all CPOs. After you make a red file within 24 hours, the red file will be communicated to this child protection officer, who is in charge to take immediate protective action and supervise the long-term protection of the child. Red file templates are accessible at any time and stored in a protected file. In case of rape, physical injuries, and pregnancy, make sure to immediately make a consultation with a gynecologist at a hospital. Report to the police and government authorities, and organize social work to place the child in a foster care program or follow up a legal process if needed. Lastly, refer to a psychologist in order to make sure the child is supported. Everyone must adhere to BANDEC rules regarding confidentiality and media and communications, which includes taking pictures. BANDEC will not allow a person to work or be around children if they demonstrate unacceptable risk to children. So in conclusion, BANDEC Foundation has a child protection policy in order to make sure that the work that we do in this space is a child-safe environment. Once you have been trained on BANDEC CPP, it means you have a legal and moral responsibility to protect children. Part of that process means being responsible to report to your manager any disrespectful behaviors that you see other workers doing while wearing a shirt, or any time people do not respect the BANDEC CPP. All workers of BANDEC are duty-bound to advocacy, prevention, identification, and protection of children. CPP is much more than just a document that states how we can protect children. It's really a commitment from each individual person, along with an organization, along with a structure and a management that's really committed to making sure that children are able to be protected, to be safe, and to thrive. So child rights and child protection is not child rights and child protection is not just a few words. It is really a commitment to always continue to learn how we can better support children to grow fully as humans. CPP, child rights, and the definitions and the policies are not just static things. It's really an individual commitment to making sure that the way that we treat kids and the way that we work with kids ensures their safety, and it really allows them to fully develop as a human being.